Storytime. Today we're going to be talking about how three husbands grouped together to mass divorce their cheating, unfaithful wives. Shout out to Strong Successful Male for this awesome video. Pinned his channel link in the comments.
My name is Brad. I'm 33 years old. I met my wife Fran, also 33, in college when we were 20 years old. We've been together ever since. We've been married for 11 years. Smack! You're 33, so minus 11 is 22. You got married at 22 years old. Why the hell would you think that is a good idea? You met her at 20 years old, you got married at 22. That is not near enough time to get to know her. Okay, really, and her family and all those things. I don't care what anybody fucking says. Somebody's going to comment, well, my grandpa and my grandma got married when they were 19 years old, or something like that. Times are different now. Clearly, maturity levels of people that age, nothing like they were decades ago. Are there exceptions? Of course, but by and large, you all know. Bro, you didn't know her. You should be working on your career and establishing yourself. But I had to say it, this is a learning channel. But anyhow, make that clear. I work at a large insurance company. My wife is a homemaker. We have 2 children together, both boys 10 and 8 years old. Wow, you didn't waste any time having kids. I thought that we were happily married. I thought our life together was great. I thought we would watch the boys grow and turn into men together. I thought we would be together until death do us part. Nope. Fran came home last Saturday morning from one of her weekly girls' nights out on a Friday night. She does these each Friday with 2 of her friends, Liv and Jessie. Your wife every Friday night goes out? What the fuck? Dude, she should be with you and your boys. Maybe once a month. Maybe have the girls come over to your house, watch some movies, have some freaking wine or whatever the hell they drink. That's it. The rest of the time, you should be her top priority. Your children, top priority. Not girls' night, some shithole bar every fucking Friday night. That's ridiculous. And if she wouldn't like that and label you controlling, say, well, there's the door. We can get divorced. And you have to mean it. Let's see here. Liv and her husband James are our age. James has been my best friend since college. They have 2 kids, a boy 12 years old and a girl 10. Liv is also a homemaker. Jessie, 28 years old, is married to Steve, who's 31. Jessie works part-time at a travel agency. No kids, we're all friends. Barbecues, swimming parties, dinners out, birthdays, anniversaries, 3 couples, all good buddies. All good buddies married to all 3 good bitches. All 3 bad bitches. Anyway, Fran got home at almost 1:30 a.m. Saturday and had been drinking heavily. That is not acceptable. She's a goddamn mother. Okay? You should have never allowed that to happen, my man. Grow the fuck up, woman. The next morning, she slept in and was hungover when she finally got up late Saturday morning. She took 2 aspirins, ate some toast, and sat on the couch looking miserable. Well, good. I asked her how her night with the girls went. She grimaced and told me she had something she wanted to discuss, but wanted to wait until her head didn't hurt so much. She saw that I was alarmed, so she said it was nothing important. Don't worry, it's nothing. Well, let's just see, gentlemen, what this nothing thing is in her opinion. Who she has to bring up while she's sitting on the couch, hungover, hurting, and miserable. What's so pressing that she has to bring up that quickly? I took the boys to an afternoon movie. Fran stayed home. After we got home, Fran asked the boys to go play in their rooms. She and I had to talk. The boys left. I sat down in the living room, waited for Fran. She looked anxious and sheepish at the time. She asked me if I knew that her friend Liv and her husband, James, were in an open marriage. You can see where this is going. He had been for 4 years. It has not only helped their sex life immensely, but also their marriage. So this is his buddy. You'd think he would know if his buddy, this was going on. They're more in love than they ever been. She stopped to look at my reaction. I didn't say anything, but thought, so this is how my marriage ends. My wife is cheating on me. Bro, I'm sorry you're going through this, but I'm glad immediately you were thinking those things. You were way ahead than a lot of guys. Fran continued that Liv, their other friend, Jessie, and Fran spent girls' night talking about open marriages. Fran thought it would do wonders for our sex life and marriage too. Where did they think this? reading Cosmopolitan magazine? Because if they would Google this, there'd be never-ending stories. They'd probably see my ass showing up there on Google saying how bad of an idea it is. We've been together for 13 years, and she's been completely faithful to me every minute of those 13 years. This is her telling him this. I've been faithful to you every minute of those 13 years. Okay, let's see. She loves me now more than she ever has. She isn't looking for a new husband, but I have to admit, things have been stale in the bedroom. An open marriage will make our sex lives more exciting. She looked at me and asked what I thought. What do I think? Bitch, pack your bag. That's what I think. I asked her if she was already seeing someone. She turned pale but said, "Of course not." I asked if she had a guy in mind. This was not going to be the way she thought it was going to. This was not going the way she thought it would, so she repeated that she's always been faithful to me. Well, can I get that in writing, friend? I'm going to take a moment, and can I record that? This was just an idea we could discuss. I shouldn't get upset. Can we just have a conversation about me accusing her of something? So already he's being twisted around to the bad guy here. So, okay, let me review, Fran. You want to go fuck other dudes because you love me so much, and our marriage is so great. It'll make our marriage so wonderful. That's what you're telling me. Guess what? Newsflash. This usually means you're already hooking up with somebody else, or someone's, plural. Or you have someone or many someones in mind. I'll buy for a second. This isn't just a casual discussion to talk about on a Saturday afternoon in September. I asked to see her phone. She turned pale. Her eyes opened in alarm. I've never looked through her phone. She asked why I wanted to see her phone. I told her she just told me she wants to cheat on me. I want to see if she's already cheating. She reiterated that she was not cheating. She told me I could not see her phone. An invasion of privacy. You want my permission to go F other dudes. You're breaking my heart here, wife, by the way. And so, yeah, I want to see your phone if you're cheating. Hand it over. After all these years together, if I didn't trust her, maybe I should seek help. Gentlemen, you watch my videos a lot. You notice a pattern here. When a guy's a legitimate issue about something, they always twist it around to make you out to be crazy and the bad guy here. And they can keep their poker faces. Women are master poker players, masters of bullshit. She repeated that she loves me and wasn't looking for a new husband, just something to spice up our XCX lives. Actually, I believe she's not looking for a new husband because she has you, who you say work for a large insurance company, and since she's a homemaker, I assume makes a pretty decent living. So why mess up the good living part of the whole thing, right? She can be a mom and have her kids and not have to go to work because the boys are 10 and 8 years old. They're off at school all day. The hell's she doing? And but she can have her fun on the side. A win-win situation. So of course she doesn't want a new husband. And her perception of you, my friend, is that you're so weak and stupid and she's so amazing that of course you'd go along with this ridiculous plan. That's her perception of you. And I don't know what you've been like with her for 11 years, but I do know you rushed to get married to her after 2 years. And at that young age, that communicates to a woman that this guy, I had the power. This guy's dying to get me. So I'm the prize and I can make demands. That's why you don't rush into relationships. You make them work years to get you if you do marriage. 5 years minimum if you're going to get married. And you got to freaking live with her for a bit to get to know what she's like. Take your time, gentlemen, for many, many reasons. I told her to give me her phone. She said no. She's not someone who I can order around. Her phone was none of my business. I got up and told her I'm going to pack. I'm leaving her. She obviously was hiding stuff on her phone, or she didn't want me to see. We are divorcing. Good for you, bro. A lot of guys would be breaking down and crying and handling this way different. She gasped. Now she really panicked. She rushed over to me to put her arms around me. She said she was sorry she brought it up. She must still be a bit drunk. She didn't mean to upset me. So she goes from being a hard ass to all of a sudden you said that I'm fucking leaving, to all of a sudden switching tactics like that. See what happens when a man walks away or he says he's going to walk away? And see how a woman can easily switch things like a light switch? She says, we'll never talk about open marriage again. That she loves me. She's perfectly happy with our life together, our sex life included. Bitch, if you were happy, you would have brought this up. And I might add, you wouldn't be doing girls' night every Friday night. She said, me leaving over something so stupid was crazy. Please sit down and we can talk about something else. Oh, okay, let's talk about the fucking the Red Sox. Did I know that our oldest son is doing a project on Ancestry and needs to interview both of us? Oh, there's an idea. Ancestry. Ancestry.com. Let's get some DNA tests in our kids, and just for fun, of course. I told her to give me her phone. She understood now that I wasn't going to give up. She said it was upstairs in the bedroom on the charger. She'll get it. No. Allow me, honey. She started toward the stairs. I told her no. I'll get it. Anything she didn't want me to see would be gone from her phone by the time she came back with it. Fran freaked out, but I told her I was getting her phone. I got it and put it in front of her face to open it. I opened her text messages, and Fran started crying. Niagara Falls. Of course, when all else fails, bring out the tears. Now remember her line, I've never cheated on you. I've been faithful for all these years. Okay. I looked through her texts from me, her friends, her parents, and sister. Also texts from someone labeled Bob's Big Boy. Really? That's what she came up with? I asked Fran, who's Bob's Big Boy? She put her head in her hands and was crying harder. Oh, for God's sakes. I opened those texts. Most of the texts were about times and places to meet. Oh, it must be a prayer group then. That's a code name for a prayer group at church. Because remember, she's been faithful for all these years. The last set of texts were about meeting him last night at his house. Well, honey, you were supposed to be at girls' night. What do you mean? This is a mistake, obviously. I must be so foolish to think that you would be doing something with a guy named Bob and his big boy. Most of the rest of the texts were about Fran's escort encounters with the guy, past sexual meetings, and what Fran was looking forward to in the future. This broad is so fucking dumb. Right there, all that information. They were very explicit. I forwarded most of the texts to my phone, especially the texts about what when they had hooked up and their plans for the future. But I also forwarded the more explicit texts. I had it on the phone, but I closed it so she'd think I was finished looking at her texts. I wanted to see how truthful this she would be. I said to her, let me guess, her lover's name is Bob. She said he was someone she met a few weeks ago, and I didn't know him. It was at a girls' night out. She was drunk. Liv and Jesse were pushing her into it. Okay, so, number one, this just started. Number two, my girlfriends made me do it. It's not my fault. They're the ones that made me do it. They're the ones to blame. And of course, I was drunk. No fucking accountability. The guy took advantage of her. Add that to the list of who to blame. She continued with him only because he told her he'd tell me if she stopped seeing him. She loved me and didn't want her foolishness to ruin our marriage. Oh my God. She'll never see him again. She felt so guilty and ashamed that she dreaded seeing the guy. But she didn't want him to tell me, and she met him on the girls' nights out. Man, her nose is just growing and growing and growing like Pinocchio. This is Pinocchio here. I put the phone in front of her face again to open it. She tried to grab the phone. Nope. I looked at the text history to see what the text started. They started over 10 months ago. You want to revise your story, sweetheart? You know the guys about Trickle Truth? Not a few weeks ago, and she just kept crying. Nothing to say. I looked more closely at the text. He was also coming to our house during the day to meet Fran. Do you want to talk about adding insult to injury here? He's banging her in this guy's house that he works hard every day to pay for her and the kids. Please tell me you're in an at-fault divorce state. I asked Fran about him being in our home. She didn't say anything, but was sobbing more loudly. Ooh! I mean, you think she's going to cry long and loud enough that he's eventually going to break down? That's what she's hoping for. I asked in our bed, and she didn't answer, just kept crying into her hands. Oh! I stared at her. She just kept crying. Not much more to say. But James, Liv's husband, was my best friend. We had the same ideas about marriage and fidelity. Nothing would surprise me more than if James had actually agreed to an open marriage with Liv. I asked Fran if James knew that he and Liv were in open marriage. She looked at me wondering where this was going and said that's what Liv told her. Liv introduced her and Jesse to the guy Fran has been seeing. Fran's understanding was that Liv and him had been lovers before she introduced him to Fran and Jesse. Sure, honey, because you've been so truthful to this point, I really believe everything you say. I asked if Jesse was also effing this guy. She sighed and said she didn't know what Jesse was doing. It was none of our business. I said, but it's Steve's, Jesse's husband's business. The kids came downstairs to see why their mother was crying. I told them to go back to their rooms. We would talk later. And I bet you his boys were instantly going into protection mode to protect their poor, sweet, innocent mama. I said, let's find out if James knows he's in open marriage. Fran stopped crying. She said, please don't call him. That's between the two of them. I shouldn't involve myself in their marriage. I said he's my friend. I owe it to him to let him know his wife is telling people she's in an open marriage. I want to know if Fran was telling people that. She asked me again not to call him. I said, okay, I won't call him. Fran can call him instead. Fran was taken aback. She said she wouldn't even know what to say. She's not calling him. I gave her the phone and told her to call James. Just ask if he knows if he's in an open marriage. We'll go from there. She said she's not calling him. I said there's nothing more to discuss. Go pack a bag. Either she's leaving tonight or I am. We're divorcing. She looked to see if I was serious. She figured I was. She said she'd call him. Isn't it amazing what happens when a guy starts laying down the law? Or he's prepared to walk or does walk? Isn't it amazing? That's what nice guys don't get. Or they don't get it until it's too fucking late. He answered. I had her put the phone on speaker. She asked him if he knew that he and Liv were in an open marriage. Nothing from him for a while. Finally, he asked Fran, what the fuck is she talking about? Fran hung up the phone. I asked her why she hung up. She said I told her to ask him if he knew he was in an open marriage. She did. He doesn't know. Man, she's slick. I called James back. He was furious. He asked what was wrong with my wife. I told him that Fran's been cheating on me and told me that Liv tells her that James and Liv are in an open marriage. I said an open marriage didn't sound like James. James asked what was his wife saying. I said Liv is saying that she is effing other guys and you're okay with that. He said thanks for telling me. He's going to go find out what's going on. So notice his buddy here, James, is not having a meltdown. He's like, we'll talk later. I'm going to find out what's going on. Handling it the best way. I told Fran to pack up. She's leaving and we are divorcing. Yes. She was still crying but looked at me pleadingly. She was sorry. She loved me. This would never happen again. Man, we are going right through every chapter of the Hobag Handbook here. She would break it off with a guy right now and never see him again. I'd be like, I don't fucking care. We're done. You're a piece of garbage. You can go have all the fun you want with Bob's big boy all you want. She opened her phone and wrote a text and showed it to me. It said the affair was over and she never wanted to see him again. Don't contact her. She sent it and blocked him. I just looked at her. She was frantic. She said she'll never do girls' night out again. I just looked at her and she said she'll never talk to Liv either. She's a bad influence. Oh, okay, it's Liv's fault. I just looked at her. She said that I can have full access to her phone and computer anytime I want it. I will know where she is at all times. I just continue staring at her. Here's an idea, honey. Why wasn't that done before? She started wailing, asking me what I wanted her to do. I told you what I wanted you to do. Pack up your stuff and go to your mother's. Say something. I told her I wanted her to pack her things and leave. I told her I wanted a divorce. Her crying got worse. The guy meant nothing to her. Hobag Handbook, Chapter 7. She always felt so guilty. She understands that I'm furious, but she'll make it up to me. Oh, please do elaborate how you plan to make it up to me. She finished with all that. She didn't know what she was thinking. She'll be the best wife ever from now on. Please, please, please give her another chance. She'll do whatever I want. She can't live without me. The children will be better off if we stay together and I work on our marriage. No, they won't. Believe me, studies have done, and life experience has shown those kids won't be better off in a miserable marriage. Think of the children. She was crying so badly now she could barely talk. So she's gone in Tuscan Raider mode. You're going to need your Tuscan Raider English dictionary to understand what the hell she's saying now. I yelled at her to pack her stuff and leave. She knew what I thought of cheaters. She didn't care enough about me not to cheat on me. She's probably always cheated on me. Probably, my friend. I'm sorry to say it, but probably. She said that's not true. This is the only time. Oh, because you've been so truthful to this point. She understands how I feel about cheaters, but she made one mistake, and I shouldn't throw away our marriage because she was so stupid. One mistake? It's been going on for 10 months. That's a lot of mistakes in that 10-month period. Mistake my ass. This is well calculated. And in our house, where our children sleep, in our bed. You're the goddamn devil. You're the freaking heiress of Slytherin. Fuck off. Get out of here. She knows that cheating hurts me to the core, but the guy really didn't mean anything to her. We can get past this. She's ready to do whatever it takes. It's just one mistake that she'll regret forever. Please, 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 let's talk. Tell her what to do. I said pack and leave. She stopped crying. She said, why did she have to leave? So notice the waterworks immediately just shut off like the sprinklers. If I want to destroy a marriage over something that was finished and would never happen again, that's my problem. Oh, so now he's the bad guy. If I wanted to separate, I should leave. But she didn't want me to leave. I told her I would leave if she did not. But if she left, we'd have a cordial relationship, at least as it comes to the children. If I left, we'll only have contact about picking up and dropping off the kids. Otherwise, we'd only communicate through our divorce lawyers. I'll never talk to her about anything but the kids again. She asked if she left, could we continue to talk about getting back together? She wanted to remain married, to take care of me more than anything. Yeah, because you've been doing such a great job of taking care of me thus far. I said, we're divorcing. She's been taking care of other guys more than she's been taking care of me. I guarantee you, my friend, that those guys that she's been having fun with, and I guarantee it isn't just Bob's big boy, have been getting way more, being taken care of way more in many spicy ways than you ever have. Guaranteed. I guess she thought if she left that she'd give me some time to calm down, but we'd continue to talk, and she convinced me to take her back. She figured I'd start to miss her as soon as she left. You might miss the woman that you thought she was and all that as you go through the roller coaster of emotions, which you will go through, but not who she clearly is. I just remained pissed because she wasn't doing what I wanted. I'd hate her more. She said she'd leave because she loves me so much and wants me to understand she'll do anything I ask. But she's only going to be gone for a short time. Oh yeah? Well, I'm going to have the freaking locksmith over here in 15 minutes, and you ain't getting back in the house. She's not going to let me go. She'll be back to talking. I thought, no, you won't. But thinking that got her out of my house, she can believe what she wants. I told her the boys will stay here with me. We can work out a schedule for her to spend time with them. I'll tell the boys that we're separating. I won't tell them it's because she's an adulterous whore. I'll just tell them we no longer want to be married. I think what else will I tell them? Be 100% honest with your kids, even if it pisses her off. Your boys need to know. Do not let her control the narrative with your boys. God almighty, do not let that happen. She got up to pack. I called James, Liv's husband, and my best friend. He thanked me for telling him about his wife. When he confronted Liv, she seemed almost relieved. She told James that their marriage was over anyway. She was planning on leaving and trying to get the courage to tell him. She'll leave. James can keep the kids. James can tell them whatever he wants, just leave. Let her know she doesn't contradict him. They'll work out a schedule for her to see the kids later. So James's wife, Liv, who's equally as big of an a-hole here, it's just like, no, you can keep the kids. No big deal. Really? That shows how much he loves those kids. And again, whole DNA test. Awful. I would make sure those kids know just how easily Mama cast them aside. James said so it's true. Liv's been cheating on him. Liv said Fran, Jesse, and her were all cheating. Girls' nights have been an excuse for the three of them to hook up with other guys. How long has this been going on? Liv said for over a year. Multiple guys? Yes. She's been seeing one guy fairly regularly. Who? James doesn't know him. She went to pack. James said she was gone in 45 minutes. I think the only way she could have left that house faster is if she was fired out of a cannon. Oh my God. Well, now Liv and Fran can get together and all become roommates and go F other dudes named Bob's Big Boy. I asked if Jesse was also cheating. He said Liv said all 3 wives were cheating. I asked if Jesse's husband, Steve, knew. James said he was going to call him, but maybe it would be better if they go in person. It's rough hearing this over the phone. I apologize for not telling James in person. He told me that's okay. It's not the worst thing that's happened to him today. Did I want to come with him to see Steve? And I said sure. As soon as Fran leaves, I'll come to get him. James said he'll call Steve and ask if I can come by. He'll call me back. Fran came downstairs with her packed bag. She asked me if she could stay so we could talk. I've told you 15,000 times that we're divorcing. Get the hell out. How much more clear do I need to be? I said no, but I had a question for her. Why ask for an open marriage? She was already seeing other guys. Why did she risk bringing up an open marriage? She must have known I'd know she was cheating. Fran said there wasn't a bunch of guys, there was just one guy. She asked for an open marriage because, wait for it, she was tired of sneaking around. She felt too guilty. She didn't realize I'd accuse her of cheating. It would just be a discussion, like talking about getting a dog or where to go on vacation. Yeah, okay, honey. Keep telling yourself that. If I said yes to the open marriage, she wouldn't feel guilty anymore. Yeah, she'd have the best of both worlds. Like this really works out for the guy. If I said yes to the open marriage, she wouldn't feel guilty anymore. If I said no, she'd break it off with the guy she was seeing and never cheat on me again. He says, SSM, if anyone believes that, I've got a bridge to sell them. Dude, I'm sorry. This is terrible. She is a piece of shit and deserves everything that I know is going to happen to her. I told her not to let the door hit her ass on the way out. She started crying again, pleading me to let her stay. I told her to get out. She said she'll be staying at her parents'. Please call her to talk. Fat chance. James called and said God damn it. James called and said Steve and Jesse were home. We were welcome to come by, but Steve wanted to know what was up. James told him we'll talk when we get there. James' son is older, so I told my boys to get ready. They're spending the evening at James's house with his kids. They asked where Mom was. I told her she went to her parents. We're having some problems, so we're separating. We'll talk more later. Now they had to get ready. I wanted to really think about what to tell the kids, so I put it off that we needed to talk to the conversation that we needed to have. They didn't ask about their mother again in the car. I picked up James and dropped the kids off. When we got to Steve's, Jessie was nervous, but it didn't look like she'd been warned by Fran or Liv that they were onto them. Jessie and Steve sat on the couch, and James and I sat in chairs across from them. James said we had some information that Steve needs to know about. Jessie turned pale. Man, I'd love to see this whole thing play out. James said that he and I discovered that our wives have been cheating on us for years. Girls' nights were just an excuse to hook up with other men. And that's what our 3 wives have been doing. Jessie got angry and told Steve that wasn't true. Girls' nights were just an excuse to drink and some gossip. God almighty, these guys know, and this third guy's wife is now denying the whole thing. It's amazing. Just some time to enjoy themselves a little bit. Jessie said she's never cheated on Steve and never would. She couldn't imagine being with another man. You noticing a pattern here, guys? Steve asked how we knew that our wives were cheating. I said that both my wife and James' wives confessed. They also both said that Jessie was cheating too. Jessie again stated that she would never cheat on Steve. She didn't know what Fran and Liv did after she left, but she's not been with another man since she met Steve. She has no interest in any other man. Okay, we've been down through this whole song and dance early in the day with our guy here telling the story. Let's just see how this plays out. Steve asked to see Jessie's phone. She became very alarmed. She just told him that she's always been faithful. She and Steve were not the kind of people who snoop through each other's phones. She said she's never cheated, and that's that. She and Steve have always taken each other's word for everything. It was very painful. Steve was doubting her now. Now Steve's the bad guy, according to Miss Jessie here. Jessie, short for Jessica. I told you about those gals named Jessica. Steve said to give him her phone. Jesse got angry. Doesn't he trust her? If he didn't trust her, that was his problem. So he's the bad guy now. She didn't have to prove anything to him. Loving husbands trust their wives. They don't investigate their wives. Steve said, "Give me your phone or pack up and leave." She was making too big a deal of this. She was acting too guilty. What did she have to hide? Jesse said her phone was dead. She needed to put it in the charger. What is it with these women in these stories? Oh, the phone's dead. You can't see it. I got to put it on the charger. He could look at it after it's charged. But him demanding to see the phone didn't speak well about him or how he feels about Jesse. His demanding her phone wasn't good for their marriage. Steve had real trust issues. So she's basically making Steve out to be the bad guy. You're crazy. You're paranoid. To think I would do such a thing to you. Steve's conversation with his wife about her phone was the same as my conversation with my wife about her phone. They all say the same things. That's because they all are subscribe and read the Hobag Handbook. Except it's the girls' version of the Hobag Handbook. Steve told her to get her phone. Bad idea. I jumped up and said, "I'll get it." Angry, Jesse said I wasn't to touch her phone. She got up after it was charged. She'll go put on the charger. She got up. Steve realized what she'd be doing before giving him the phone and asked me to go get her phone. Jesse said, "No way. Don't touch her phone." Steve told her, "Sit down." I got her phone. The lock screen showed Jesse's phone was almost fully charged. Amazing. It must have charged up that quickly in the time that you got off the couch to go get it. Remember, this is Miss My Phone is Dead. I gave it to Steve. Steve told Jesse to open it up. She said, again, that Steve's suspicions was ruining their marriage. She didn't realize how insecure and controlling he was. Steve said, "Open the phone." Jesse opened the phone and started crying. He spent some time reading her text and announced that Jacob thinks Jesse has a great ass. Jacob says he loves it when Jesse walks around wearing just the top. He looked at Jesse. She couldn't look at him. He looked at her text some more. Who's Charlie? Jesse was really wailing now. He told Jesse that Charlie seems to think that you give the best BJs. He loves it that you're so adventurous. Not many girls would do two guys together in the bar bathroom. Oh my God. Remember this guy. Remember this guy's the bad guy for wanting to go through her phone and she's denying everything? He says, oh good. He includes pictures in his text. He opened one of the pictures. Steve said, here's Jessie on her knees in the men's room smiling for the camera for a guy's knob in her mouth. Another guy a few feet away was pissing in the urinal. He looked at Jessie and said, oh, very classy. He opened the second picture and said, here's Jessie smiling. She's still in the bathroom. Steve said it must have been after she finished both of them. He asked Jessie how she got all that out of her hair. Or did she walk around that way proudly showing everyone what her real talent is? How these guys manage to keep it together, I guess they're just in such a state of shock. They're not melting down here. Or they're just calm guys. How nice is that? The first picture he sees is a picture of that dude's you-know-what in her mouth. He'll be like, well, here's a great one for the Christmas card, guys. Here's a great... We'll save this picture with my dear wife with a big freaking sausage in her mouth. That'll be for the Christmas newsletter. You know, we have the kids. We'll say our son, Bob, he got straight A's on his report card recently. We'll say our daughter, Melissa, just had her first ballet recital. And here's a picture of my wife with a giant hot dog in her mouth. Happy New Year, everyone. Steve stared at Jessie, waiting for her to say something. She said she was so drunk, she didn't remember any of that. One of the problems with having a guy buy you drinks is that you get really drunk. So drunk, you don't know what you're doing, remembering anything. Blame it on the alcohol. Yeah, I've been around people that have had drinks, a lot of drink, and they weren't in the bathroom with these guys, dudes, packages in their mouths. James says it sounds like getting drunk was a feature of their girls' night out, not some problem. Jessie looked down and said they got drunk a lot. He continued looking at her text. James said BJ Charlie wants to know when he can see her again. Okay, I see you already told him to come here to my house at 10 a.m. Monday morning. She's another one cheating in the house. And those girls, I guarantee, are all comparing notes and showing their different guys and talking about their adventures. And I'm guessing all three of them don't have jobs. And trying to have the best of both worlds. James continued studying her text and said, Richard wants to take you away for the weekend. He says Jesse always has to leave right when they're done. Richard wants to spend the whole weekend with her. He looked at Jessie and asked if that's why she wants to go to her sorority reunion next weekend. He kept scrolling through her texts and asked her just how many guys is she hooking up with. Jessie was sobbing so badly now she couldn't talk. Oh, we got another Tuscan Raider on our hands. After she calmed down some, she asked Steve if they could talk. About what? Can James and I leave so she could explain? Hobag Handbook, Chapter 2. Steve said, please explain. He's sure that James and I would also be fascinated by what she has to say. Jessie says it doesn't concern them. Bullshit. Your friends were around for your adventure, so my friends can be around to hear this. She could explain, but wanted James and me to leave. Yeah, because she knows darn well that James and Steve here, I forget there's so many names in this story I keep forgetting, but she wants the two dudes to leave so she can just cry and carry on and all that. No, we're not going to leave this guy alone. So she can make up a bunch of shit. Steve said James and I were staying. Here's her one chance to explain. She better be completely honest, and I rolled my eyes. Jessie saw me roll my eyes and asked me if I thought she wouldn't be honest. I didn't say anything. She looked at Steve and told him he already knows the worst. Why would she lie now? She has nothing left to lose by lying. Steve has seen her texts. There's nothing more dreadful than those. And these dumbasses keep this on their phone because what they do is they look at it and it's exciting, like little girls sneaking around and fooling their parents. It's what they really are. Little fucking girls. And yes, I compare women to behaving like children because think about it. Children are overwhelmingly 100% run by their emotions. Women are run by their... There are some exceptions. Some can go into logic mode here and there, but generally emotions run the show here and act ridiculous. And these are the ones that should be leading the marriage, taking leadership roles when they can behave like this, let the emotions take over, and not to mention the bullshitting going on here. God's sakes. Jessie saw me roll my eyes and asked me if I thought she wouldn't be honest. I didn't say anything. She looked at Steve. I read that part. Jessie sighed and said it started as an innocent competition among three wives. Innocent, huh? They went for girls' night the first time about 4 years ago. After about 30 minutes, they were bored. Sure, they could do some drinking, but all three of them talk to each other all the time. They didn't need to be in a bar to do that. Fran was talking about going home. Jessie said she was ready to leave too. Girls' night was not exciting and fun, just boring. Because your families should be your number one priority. That's what should be your priority. Not having fun and convincing yourself. And by the way, they're all like 33 now, and they're early mid-30s. So if this started 4 years ago, right around when they turned 30. What happens when women turn 30? They know darn well that in terms of the marketplace, physically, that number means they're not as in demand as they once were. The prime ends at 30. I mean, the prime is in the late teens and 20s and all that. So now all of a sudden, we need to make sure we still got it. Attention and validation. Liv said that she had an idea. They'd have a competition. Whoever is first to get a guy to buy her a drink wins the competition. They'll split up and get a guy to buy them at least one drink. Jessie asked what they'd win. Liv said bragging rights until the next girls' night. Or a roll in the hay with a guy if that's what they wanted. So they're blaming it on Liv. I actually kind of believe that Liv, because Liv is the one who, with James, was like, yeah, I'm cheating. Okay, I'll leave right now and you can have the kids. So I do actually believe that part, that she is the ringleader of this. But it doesn't matter because these two asshole wives went along with it. That one part I actually buy. Or a roll in the hay if they want. That was so ridiculous a suggestion, and they all laughed. They were faithful to their husband. A roll in the hay with some guy was unimaginable. Bullshit. They're all fucking cheaters. I don't buy it for a second. But I do believe that Liv was definitely the ringleader. They spent the rest of the night talking about how they would do it. Should they split up? Yes, in the same bar for safety, but not together. More likely, some guy would approach a woman if she's on her own. Fran asked if she would leave their wedding rings on. Jessie thought they would be more approachable if the guys thought they were single. Liv thought that if the guy saw the wedding ring, that he'd be more likely to want to hook up. No big drama about seeing each other again since she was married. Guys wanted to hook up with married women. She'd be wearing her wedding ring too. Both Fran and Jessie opted to take off their rings. The next girls' night, they put their plan in action. They went to a bar, split up, and Jesse was the first to get hit on by a guy. He bought her a drink and then another. After a while, she told him that she'd leave and meet with the other two outside. Jesse was high on her victory. She was high on the attention and validation now that she's in her 30s. She loved the attention, what I just say, and made sure the others knew she was way more desirable than they were. Bragging rights. Well, this is Jesse telling how this all started, and this is from her perspective that this guy's writing this whole thing down. Women in competition. The next time, Liv took off her rings like the other two. None of them ever wore their wedding rings again on a girls' night. They were in their pocketbooks the minute they left home. Their big problem was remembering to put the rings back on before they got home, remembering they were married. Meanwhile, all three of these a-holes have husbands, have children, but all this so they can get their kicks too. And I'm guessing that these two other guys married their wives really early. Oh, and by the way, as if it isn't obvious, guys, girls' nights, girls' weekends, you want to do that stuff, come over to the house where your husband's there. Maybe the husband can be barbecuing with the two other husbands or whatever. But doing this, after a few weeks, they were getting bored again. A guy will buy a girl a drink sitting alone at the bar if she's halfway decent and will talk to him. It was an investment the guy was made hoping to get her in the sack. Who won had more to do with where they were sitting at the bar and how desirable they were. All of them were desirable. They had to do something more exciting. Guys, don't buy women drinks at the bar. And if a woman says, aren't you going to buy me a drink? Like, no, you can buy me one. And have a smirk on your face and see what she says. Nice guys buy women drinks at the bar. I haven't bought a woman a drink in Lord knows how long. And I never will. Fran came up with the idea that they won the competition if they could get the guy to keep buying her drinks over a period of time. How would that work? The guy had to buy drinks for at least 2 hours. The winner had to keep him interested in buying drinks for that long. Little hustlers. That meant the girl had to be flirty and seductive for 2 hours. 2 problems. The guy might realize too soon that this was going nowhere. He might give up and look to hit on some other girl. How to keep him interested in buying drinks for 2 hours. The second problem was they couldn't keep returning to the same bar. They'd get a reputation as teases who weren't going to put out. The second problem was easy. There were plenty of bars, but how to keep the guys buying drinks. I'd like to know how far these bars are from the homes of these guys and depending on where they live, because eventually people will start talking. That's an issue I have with this. They must have gone pretty far and must live in a very, very busy area to pull this off. They figured each wife would sit alone at the bar. A guy would approach and buy her a drink at the bar. She'd take him to a booth or table, a more intimate setting, like being on a date, making it harder for him to walk away. She'd keep him there buying drinks for 2 hours, then get up and leave. Liv was the first winner of the new competition. Liv led her guy to a booth and he stayed and bought drinks for 2 hours. Fred and Jesse picked up guys but both their men gave up after less than an hour. Liv won because she kept touching her guy. She put her hand on his upper thigh and left it there. He had his arm around her most of the time. When he kissed her, she returned the kiss and put her head lovingly on his shoulder. He put his hand on her thigh and kissed her again. A long kiss. They went on way longer than 2 hours. Fran finally went up to Liv and said it was time to leave. They had to get home. Liv sighed, kissed him again, and said she'd see him next time. I don't care if anybody... I do, again, think Liv is the ringleader here, but it doesn't matter. These two bitches went along with this. And still, just by simply flirting with other guys, having them buy drinks, they're cheating. So even at this junction, even at this state, if this part of the story is true, they're still cheating, and in my opinion, divorce is warranted. When they got outside, Liv said she liked him and didn't want to leave. She wanted to get a hotel room, and Liv admitted she was tempted. Or he wanted to get a hotel room. But Fran and Jesse yelled at her. This was innocent fun. They were just playing. This was not innocent fun. And I like how the girl telling the story is making her out to be the hero here. We yelled at her and said not to do this. Bullshit. He says they said they weren't cheaters. Liv says she was just kidding. She was faithful to her husband. She was just having some fun with the guy. That's not being faithful. Bullshit. If their husbands were out at bars doing the same thing with girls, had their arms around girls, these women, if they were loyal and loving, would be losing their mind and have a right to. But Liv set the model for all of them. She could get all guys to stay buying if the girls were flirty, seductive, and kissed, and touch the guys, and allow the guys to kiss and touch them. The wife spent a lot of time talking about how far it would go with the guys who bought them drinks. They each had their stories. Fran spent one night in a booth sitting on a guy's lap, him squeezing her ass. Fran told them later that him squeezing her ass was nothing. She was pretty sure he touched every inch of her body. Oh, let me guess, that's not cheating. But when he tried to put a hickey on her neck, she got up and left. Oh, well, it's nice she has standards and boundaries here. She couldn't come home with a hickey. I would ask too many questions that she didn't have answers for. Once, as soon as Liv got him to the booth, the guy took her hand and put it on his package. She left it there. She said it was a big one, and with her massaging it through his pants. Is this Lauren Boebert? It just got bigger and bigger, and she wondered if it was going to stain his pants. Liv thought it would be entertaining, but before he got there, he took Liv's hand away. One guy put his hand up Jessie's short dress, stroking her thigh. They were in a booth, so no one could see. He kept moving his hand until he hit home. He started caressing her with his fingers. He yanked her dress up over her. Jesus, this is turning into freaking PORN. I hope YouTube doesn't flag this. Jessie pulled his hand away and fixed her dress. She let him go too far. They'd all gone too far. She left the guy in the booth and sat alone until the other wives were ready to go home. She told them in the car that they'd gone too far with this. Oh, well, it's nice to hear that Jessie, the girl who he had found pictures with a freaking knob in her mouth, is the hero in this story, saying, we've gone too far. Interesting, because Jessie is telling this story. She was giving up girls' night. No more. Over the next week, the other two convinced her to continue. Oh, Jessie's the victim here. Jessie looked at Steve and said she knew what they were doing was wrong, but it was too exciting to give up. No one was getting hurt. It was like they were just sleeping with they were sleeping with the other guys. Steve asked how they got away with doing this in the bar in front of other people. That's what I've been wondering here. Jessie said they found bars that were dimly lit. The ideal bar had a fairly bright bar area so they could see the guys who approached them, but the rest of the room was darker. That's why getting the guys in the booth was so important. The table would hide much of what they were doing, just not the kissing. But no one was going to come clean to them and tell them to stop kissing. The girls encouraged each other and pushed each other to go further and further. They each brought the sexiest, most revealing dresses they could find, another competition. They had to change into and out of the dresses in the car. They couldn't wear them at home, their husbands would freak out. I was wondering about that, and I'm not surprised they went out in one outfit, changed another one, then that whole thing. Like teenage girls doing that. You know, a teenage girl wants to go out, and her mom is like, you're not leaving our house dressed like that. And she's like, okay. And has to change of clothes in the car or at the place. So they all knew they could keep a guy buying them drinks if they let the guy kiss them and touch them while they also kissed and touched the guy. Girls' nights were exciting and fun. The three wives spent much of the week talking about their past encounters and talking about their girls' nights out. What'd I tell you? Gossip, gossip, gossip. They were careful about what they said in front of their husbands, but their husbands never looked at their phones, so texting was not a problem. Their husbands never got suspicious. As long as no one knew they came to the bar and saw them with a strange guy, they could do with this forever. This went on for nearly a year until Liv wanted to up the stakes again. Even if this was true about Liv wanting to do all this, they've been cheating since day one of this, when they started doing this whole thing. And they all deserve to go down. Well, they've been going down, but go down in a different way. Both Fran and Jessie said they were having fun doing what they were doing. Why mess up a good thing? Liv said they could all continue what they're doing, but maybe add a little more excitement. Liv said let's have the guys get a hotel room for the night. Go with them to the room. And then insist the guy take off his clothes first. Maybe say she needed to use the bathroom. Once he was naked, say goodbye and leave the room. He can't chase after her after all because he doesn't have any clothes on. Fran asked how they would get to know each other with the two wives were. Fran asked how would they know that the other two wives were actually getting a guy to take off his clothes. Fran suggested they take a picture of the guy after he was naked. Make sure the picture included his more interesting parts. They can compare their guys. They decided that once each of the guys got a room, they text each other the room number as a safety measure. Oh my God. They would set a time when they meet back at the hotel lobby. If a wife wasn't there on time, they knew there was a problem. They text first, but they didn't get a response. They would go to the room and bang on the door. They all liked the idea and began discussing how it would work. They'd have to go to the bars and hotels. If they met a guy in the bar and left for the hotel, the guy would choose the hotel. He's paying for safety reasons. They need to all be at the same hotel. Kiss them, play with them, promise them all sorts of delights, get them to get in a room, get their clothes off, take a picture, and leave. Yeah, guys, this is going to be a memorable story. Most of the guys they met in hotel bars are traveling and already staying in the hotel. Liz said it's okay if he already has a room. Just get him out of his clothes, take the picture, and leave. Always stay between the guy and the door. Get the guy to lie down on the bed, and if he's lying down, it's hard for him to catch you before you get out the door. They all agreed to try it. They'd compare notes and laugh about their adventures. It was more risky, so even more exciting. They discussed how to get the guys naked. Fran said her technique is to tell the guy to undress while she was in the bathroom. When he was naked, she'd come out of the bathroom and tell him she wanted to look him over. Lie down on the bed, Fran would inspect his parts, comment on his strengths and weaknesses, take his picture, and run out the door. Jessie said she did the same. Went to the bathroom while he undressed, wanted to see how big he could get before she left. She'd tell the guy she wanted him to lie in the bed and play with himself. She told him it was a real turn-on for her. So she stood by the bed, fully dressed, and watched him, then took the picture and ran out the door. How many of you guys are willing to barf, throw something? Oh my God. How many of you gals, the 4% of you that watch me because you know this type of shit goes on, or you loathe feminism, or you don't want your sons to end up with people like this? How many of you are disgusted with this whole thing? That continues. Liz said she was more proactive. She told him to stand while she took off his clothes. If he tried to take off her clothes, she told him to stop. He had to wait until she got his clothes off. Once she had him undressed, she pushed him down the bed and also did an inspection. Then she would get him all aroused. When he was finishing, she took his picture and left. He was not in any condition to chase her. James asked if Liv was actually giving these guys hand action. Jessie said that's what Liv said. Fran also started to do that. It kept the guy happy until they took his picture. They didn't like their pictures taken. If the guy was just naked, he might be able to catch them before he got out of the room and grab her phone. But if the guy was... let's see. I can't think of the word. I gotta watch what I say. If the guy was finishing, Old Faithful, if you will, he would not be able to chase them. The wives spent hours during the week comparing pictures of their guys, comparing the guys to their husbands, and talking about what the guys did and said. Liv suggested they all take pictures of their husbands so their wives can compare their husbands to the hotel guys. And to each other, they all found this hilarious. Remember all the wives saying how they love their husbands so much, and all this bullshit that they were feeding, except for Liv. Liv was just like, okay, yeah, I'm cheating, goodbye. You can keep the kids. But Jessie and Fran. Divorce, 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 burn in hell, you a-holes. James asked her if they took pictures of their husbands. Jessie said it took some time, but they all got pictures of their husbands. So your husbands just were more sausages to compare. Jessie looked down. Steve told Jessie to continue her story. This went on like this for a while, but they were running out of decent hotel bars. They didn't want to run into the guy after they left the room, so they were always trying to find new places. They began talking about forgetting the hotel room stuff, just to go back to drinking and fooling around with guys in the bar. Lived up the stakes again. They met for girls' night at a hotel bar they hadn't been to. They all found guys who wanted to take them to their rooms. The meetup time was midnight. Jessie finished early, around 11:30 p.m. She was in the lobby bathroom, hiding in case her guy came down to the lobby. She kept peeking out, looking for Liv and Fran. Fran came next, and then Jessie. They waited for Liv, and waited. At 12:30, they texted her, no response. They went to her room and knocked on the door. Liv came to the door butt naked. Behind her was the naked guy lying in the bed. Liv told them she's staying with the guy. She'll tell James, her husband, she's got too drunk to drive and she got a hotel room. The girls could have taken her home, but she was so drunk and she just wanted to sleep. She was afraid she'd get sick in the car, so she got a room. Make sure she tell James the story if he says anything. Jessie told Liv to make sure she take the guy's picture. I looked at James. He was shaking his head slowly in disbelief. He asked when this was. Jessie thought a while and said about a year ago, maybe longer. He asked if these guys were all one-night stands. Jessie said Liv was still seeing the guy she stayed with for the first time. He traveled here in business fairly often. Liv always met up with him. If Liv told James she's staying overnight with her sister or her parents. If she tells him she was staying overnight anywhere for any reason, she's with that guy for the night. Liv also had another lover she's been seeing regularly who lives there. Fran also had a regular guy for the last year or so, but she also has flings with guys she picks up in bars. They still did occasional girls' nights together to meet new guys. I said that Jessie was really throwing her friends under the bus telling us all this. Jessie says that we're here because her so-called friends ratted her out. She owes them nothing. No honor amongst thieves. I don't care. You're all pieces of garbage. I said that Jessie was really throwing her friends under the bus as she says she owes them nothing. Steve asked Jessie if she had a regular guy. She says she doesn't see anyone regularly. She gets rid of them after a few weeks. She didn't want a boyfriend. Steve was the only one she cared about. Yeah, I can tell through your actions how much you care about me, sweetheart. Oh yeah, and your wonderful picture of you with the guy's sausage in your mouth, on your knees, in the bar, and in the background you can see a guy staying in at the Ural doing his business. Oh, that's definitely going in the Christmas newsletter this year, honey. Steve said he knew Jessie cared about him. He could see it in her eyes in the pictures of her in the men's bathroom. Jessie started sobbing. Steve told Jessie to continue, but James' phone rang. He said it was Liv. He answered on speaker. Liv was crying. Between sobs, she told James that she made the biggest mistake of her life, leaving him. She loved him and wanted to remain married. She was sorry for everything she's done. She wants to come home and now talk. Yeah, while she was out figuring out her bullshit story. She left because he was so angry and she was afraid. Now that her wonderful husband not that her husband would ever harm her, but she couldn't face the fact that she had hurt him so much. Yeah, I can tell. She left because she didn't want to see the hurt in his eyes. Yeah, because she's so caring. Can she come home so they can talk? James told her to go fuck herself and hung up. Haha, good for you, James. I know you watched the show. Jessie shook her head and said she guessed that Liv's regular guy wanted her for fun, but not for good. But she and Fran kept warning Liv that he would cut and run if Liv pressured him for more than just hookups. I guess he threw Liv out when she arrived with the good news that they can now be together all the time. That's how Chad and Tyrone roll, Liv. Jessie looked at me and said that Fran's boyfriend has been trying to get Fran to leave him for months. Fran tells him that she wants to stay with me, but if Fran goes to him, he'll take her in. I told her I really don't care anymore what Fran did. Yeah, knock yourself out. Go have fun, Fran. James asked Jessie how they went from running out of the hotel rooms to staying. Jessie says it was inevitable. Liv staying with the guy was the tipping point. Again, it's Liv's fault for what we did. Once Liv did it, they all understood that is what their activities had been leading them to. It was the obvious next step. SCX with men they've been reading was going to happen sooner or later. Monkey see, monkey do. Their husbands had no idea how they were spending their Fridays. They've been doing everything short of screwing with random guys for years, and their husbands were clueless. If their husbands knew what they've been up to doing so far, they would have thrown their wives out already. Banging the guys was not all that different from their behavior up until now. The husbands would never find out. Liv was not struck by lightning when she left the hotel room. She just had more fun than the other two wives. Jessie and Fran wanted more fun too. Even more risky and exciting. And they no longer had to hide it from the guys they would run out on. They were exchanging numbers with them now instead. It's like a drug. People start on drugs, and then eventually they need more of that drug, or different type of drugs to give them more of the excitement and the high. Jessie said she wasn't going to say any more. The husbands could fill in the blanks for themselves, or talk to their wives. She wanted James and me to leave, and she'll answer any questions Steve has. She started crying again. She loves Steve and wants to stay married. Fucking delusional. The problem is, the wives' perception of all three of the husbands is that these husbands have not known all these years, so they're stupid, they're weak, they're nice, all that. So with enough begging and pleading and crying and promises that eventually they'll cave. That's the perception these women have of their husbands. And I guarantee you, each of these husbands would buy into that bullshit, whether it took them a day to buy into or a year. Eventually, these wives would even have less respect for these husbands and would be back to doing this bullshit eventually. Guaranteed. It is over. She says she'll never do anything like this again. No more girls' nights. She'll spend the rest of her life trying to make it up to me. She'll change. Just give her a chance. She was crying, pleading with Steve. Steve told her to pack up and leave. They're divorcing. She said she's not leaving. They need to talk and figure out a way through this. Steve told her to get out. He'll leave if she did not. She was adamant about not leaving. Steve finally said, "Oh, right. Jessie has an appointment with Mr. BJ on Monday. She has to be here for that." He asked Jessie if she took credit cards. It was an all-cash business. Did she charge by the hour or by the act? Were the tips good? Was there a group discount? Jessie picked up her phone and started typing. She sent a text. She told us that she told the guy that if he came to the house, she'll call the police and have him arrested. Oh, wow, I feel so much better. Never contact her again. Jessie said she's going to send the same text to all of them. How many all are we talking about, sweetheart? Then she said that Steve can just take her phone and keep it. She didn't need to talk to anyone but him. She'll use the phone only when he is with her and says it's okay. Steve asked her why he would want her phone. He doesn't need to look at her dick pics. He told her to leave, and that was that. Or he was. They are divorcing. She said she's staying. He got up to pack some things. Jessie curled into a ball on the couch weeping. James and I waited for Steve and we left together. Holy fucking shit. This is crazy. And sadly not surprising to me at all. That's how numb I've become. I think I got almost 2,500 videos between all three channels. Yes, I'm numb. Nothing surprises me or shocks me. All this took place 2 weeks ago. Oh my God. We are all divorcing our wives. We are using the same lawyer. James, Steve, and I talk regularly. We all had STD tests right away. No STDs. Oh my God, I know that's possible. Both James and I will probably have DNA tests on our kids. We're both struggling to actually get the DNA test done. We're afraid of the results. You gotta do it, man. I know it's killing you, the uncertainty, but you gotta know. We keep each other strong by staying there for each other. Easy to weaken, easy to think about taking our wives back. Easy to think maybe she's changed. But the other husbands won't allow any backsliding by the other two. Good. You guys need to be with each other. And I, by the way, can't imagine the lawyer when you walked into his office and you all three told him your story. I mean, he's just probably like, even that a divorce attorney was probably like, wow, this is new. We also all watch SSN videos for support. Steve doesn't talk to Jessie at all. James and I have contact with our wives only about our kids. Our lawyer does the rest. Dude, bros, keep watching these videos every fucking day, because otherwise you'll start slipping. And I will smack the fucking bejesus out of every one of you motherfuckers if you even think about going back with your wives and buying into their bullshit. They're full of shit. Your women are evil. I don't care if Liv made them do it. They're evil. End of story. I'm just so sorry that two of you bros have kids with these freaking harpies. Here's what I've learned. Wives will either cheat or they won't. If your wife cheats, you'll either find out or you won't. But if your wife tells you she's going out for a girls' night or girls' only vacation or drinks with the girls, you just found out. She's telling you she's cheating already or will cheat on you. Couldn't be clearer unless she tells you outright she's effing other men or that she wants an open marriage. If Fran or Liv or Jessie really just wanted to drink or be with the girls' nights, they would have done it at my house. That's what I've been saying all along.
Anyway, that's all for today on Manhood. Remember to smash the like and subscribe buttons and click on the notification bell to be the first to know when I drop a new video. If you find value in my videos, you can show your support through PayPal or Cash App. The links are in the description. See you next time. Cheers!